injury-hit final year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Moz probably got some sort of accolades when he was at the Roosters. But
he spent as much time suspended as he did playing, to be fair.
Then on Sunday, the Warriors against the Dragons. This is a game where probably anything could happen. And obviously, we've got Widdop and Cooper from an English point of view.
Should be an exciting game, that one. There should be a lot of points in that. The Dragons,
I would hope so.
Starting to win games now.
Yeah,
Warriors last week they conceded 50 odd. The week before that they won by 50 odd, or 40 odd. Who knows?
The Hulk are with a bit more talent, I'd say.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a damning indictment. The Hulk are with a significant amount more talent, I would say. Right, that's your Super League pod for the week. All that remains for us to do now is wrap up the show. Well, Mark, there's another one in the bag. We're getting ever nearer to episode 100 of the Super League pod. Do we want to talk about plans for the 100th episode?
Well, I don't know.
We don't have to.
There's a few things going on. Some of the listeners who've been around the show for a while and have been voted as award winners have all been contacted to contribute a little bit because to recognise, that they were award winners in the first 100 episodes of the show.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they can contribute. Hopefully they all get on board. The positive sounds have come out of most of them, although a couple of them have seemed to dodge the invitation a little bit. Oh yeah, Colin Render. Not naming names. But anyway.
Well, that's going to go one of two ways, isn't it, Mark?
But anyway, the other thing we were thinking of doing, wasn't it, is throwing out the first ever episode.
Yes.
So if we do that, which we're going to, then probably I'll put it up on the weekend before, so like on the Friday or the Saturday before probably on the Friday morning. So people have the weekend.
Have you listened to it?
Not since when we did it.
I can't remember I can't remember it really. I imagine it will all be quite high pitched and squeaky.
And rubbish, and just as bad as what listeners will find out is we've learned very little, other than freedom of swearing.
It's exciting times. But I think it'd be people who've come to the podcast midway through, perhaps join us for the second series. That might be funny for them. And
the other idea I had, which I don't know what you think about it, is running a poll of other episodes to play.
All right.
So like landmark episodes.
Right.
So I was thinking some of my favourite episodes, remembering back, is the episode after Magic Weekend in our first year in 2014.
Oh yeah.
The RL Kids TV stuff in
2015
last year.
Yeah.
And maybe the Christmas Ask SLPs.
Yeah. We could do a little bit of a poll, come up with some of those, and see what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we could put that out the week after the 100th episode, maybe, on the weekend.
But it's not long off now, so exciting and interesting times for all you Super League podders out there. Super League Pod recommends this week, Mark.
Yeah. What are you bringing to the table?
You've got a couple, I've got a couple. Well, it's been a few weeks since I've recommended Game of Thrones, but the new series started. Last night. Now, I didn't stay up and watch it, but I've had the car.
It was on just now. There was some tits walking around on the TV screen behind.
No. Well, I'm not going to spoiler it for anyone. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Particularly, right. Well, I'm not going to throw any spoilers out for people who are listening that may not have caught the first episode of the new series, but it did start this weekend. I recorded it. They show it at the same time as they do in America on Sky Atlantic, so they will put it on at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday night.
Right.
So I recorded that, and I had the car today, so I came home at lunchtime and watched the first sort of 3/4 of it, and then drove back to work, and then watched the last 15 minutes.
Yeah. Tonight
when I got in, it's really good. It remains a very, very strong, very well done programme if you like dragons and boobies and fighting and shit.
Yeah.
So, and who doesn't like that? So that's, it can't go a couple of weeks. It's like Game of Thrones is my Gareth Hock autobiography, basically. That's what that is to me. But my more serious SLP recommends is I came across a new musician this week, which always excites me. I was watching The Daily Show on Comedy Central, as I often do, and they've started featuring musical guests. And the guy they had on at the end this week was a chap called Sturgill Simpson, who's a country singer. Now he's a bit more of an alternative country singer, and he was doing a song from his most recent album, A Sailor's Guide to Earth, called In Bloom. Now if that's familiar to anybody who's of sort of our age listening, yes, I'm talking about In Bloom, the Nirvana track that has been covered. Sometimes you hear bands and artists do cover versions of songs and you just think, well, that's basically an homage to it. This is complete, save for the melody of the vocal melody for the first 2/3 of it. This is a complete reworking, and it's a bit ethereal and kind of dreamy and relaxing, and then it has
this is a Johnny Cash
a Motown vibe. Yeah, precisely. And I really, really enjoyed it, and I've not stopped listening to it all weekend, so I would recommend that you check out Sturgill Simpson, in particular the song In Bloom, from the album A Sailor's Guide to Earth.
Fair enough.
What have you got for us, Mark Hughes?
Well, the first one is one of the pubs we went in Lancaster at the weekend, called Merchants 1688.
Right.
It's really cool and really nice. It's basically in what would have been one of the old wine cellars underneath kind of the edge of the Lancaster Castle.
Okay.
Sort of boundary. It's sort of on the edge of that, but it's an old cellar basically, and it's really different. You wouldn't go in many pubs that are like it. I didn't eat there, but it looked like the food was really nice. It was well kitted out, nice ales in there.
Yeah.
So I would recommend going in there if you were in Lancaster. It's basically just down the road from the train station.
Okay.
So on your way into the town, it's on a corner. It looks pretty. It looks nicest from the outside. Don't think it's too nice for you. Go in and get an ale. It's nice. It's good. And the other thing, I was having a conversation over the weekend which reminded me of a film I watched towards the back end of last year. That was a really interesting sports film, if people like watching sports films, like I'm sure most of our followers do.
Yeah.
And it's called No, a documentary. It's the story of an American baseball pitcher,
right,
called Doc Ellis, who threw a no-hitter is like the
no one, yeah, like a perfect game.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So no hits off his pitch in a whole game. He threw a no-hitter whilst high on LSD.
That's amazing.
Now this guy is the story of Doc Ellis.
How recently was that?
Oh, this was in the 1970s. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates side in the 70s that had a few successful years.
Yeah.
And he had a wider career around that, probably a hard to manage character given his drug use. But yeah, it's interesting.
Wow,
certainly.
That's amazing.
So check that out. I think it's probably on Netflix and that sort of stuff.
Cool.
I would guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Superb. Okay. Episode 97 of Super League Pod in the bag. Now, if you want to get in touch with us, there's a number of ways you can do it. Obviously, Twitter and Facebook are great ways to communicate with us through the week, and you can do that by following us at Super League Pod on Twitter, or by going to facebook.com/Super League Pod, or by searching for Super League Pod on Facebook. If you want to send us something a bit longer, a bit more thoughtful, like Brad Davies did earlier on in the show, you can send it by email to superleaguepod@gmail.com. But if you want to get in touch with us about this week's matches, there's a really useful and simple way of doing that, isn't there, Mark?
Yeah, the Google form. So the links will be posted on social media throughout the weekend, but effectively, if you save it in your favourites, you will be able to go back to the same form every week, and I'll have updated the games for you. So please send in reviews of any games you watch. If you're listening and you've not got in touch with us before, but you go and watch a team that not many people go and watch, maybe a League One team, maybe a championship team, get your reviews in of those games too. We love to get those, and we just want to hear from as many people as possible, as always. The other thing that I've got going on this week, Tom, is I'm writing a bit of a piece about Thursdays.
Okay.
Because everyone hates Thursdays. So I'm writing a bit of a piece. I've been pulling some numbers and stuff together, piecing some bits together. So if anyone wants to send us their views on Thursdays and the reason why they hate it probably is the main thing that I'm asking people for, because most people hate it, I guess. But if anyone's a fan of Thursdays as well, the Thursday TV games I'm talking about, really, get in touch. Not just like, I like Thursdays because my boss brings in donuts.
Yeah, exactly. It's the night of our weekly throwdown.
So send in your thoughts on email or what have you about Thursday TV games, because I'll be working on something over the next couple of weeks.
Fantastic.
With some numbers to explain about it.
Good stuff, yeah. It's been a while since you've done a blog, so I'll be interested to have a read of that. I've also thrown in 2 accidental Steve-O's into this week's episode of Super League Pod, so if you spot them, please feel free to...
You've utilised...
No, I'm not making it 3. Right, so there's been 2 accidental Steve-O's, so if you spot those, please tweet us in and give us the hashtag accidental Steve-O, and we'll see you next time.
Timestamp or...
Yeah, timestamp it, tell me what I was talking about, I'll bear it in mind, I'll know what you're on about. And,
I won't. I haven't noticed.
Give me the timestamp or tell us what I was talking about.
Basically...
I'll tell you after we finish recording. Have you spotted one of them?
No.
Right, I'll enlighten you afterwards then. Maybe this is going to backfire on me and people don't spot them. Right, episode 97 of Super League Pod in the bag. We'll see you next time on your favourite rugby league podcast.
I hope someone points out that they can't be accidental if they're on purpose.
I was going to go a secret Steve-O then. We'll call it next time.
Right, okay.
Accident.